What's up, world? Anthony Rudolph here, and welcome back to Born to Create. So, for you guys who don't know, Born to Create is a simple concept. If who or what you want to be doesn't exist, you go out there and you create the life that you want. So today I'm super excited. Today I have a really good friend, old friend. We go back 20 plus years to high school teammates. She played girls basketball, I played boys basketball. He's a true creator, so I wanted to get her on the show and talk about life. Devin Johnson, Coach D, how are you today, lady?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for blessing us with the time today. I know in these times people are busy. Well, I guess not, people are quarantined now, so I guess they're trying to find things to do. So, but thank you for coming on. Just wanted to hop on and pick your brain, especially now because people are looking for inspiration. People are looking for motivation. People are looking for someone to trust and really speak into their life. So I followed you on social media and I saw what you were doing, and I am truly impressed with what you're putting out there. A lot of stuff is really heartfelt. A lot of it's funny as hell. So we'll get into that. So talk to me real quick about how you went from girls basketball, a girls baller, to now being now being Coach D.
Oh, wow. So the journey took a couple of different turns. I really got into mental health and wellness about 2008 when my mom started to experience mental disease. And I had to conserve her and work with her and get really knowledgeable in mental health. I also went to pharmacy tech school because I had to learn the medicine side of mental health. And then that's when I learned that that's just one very small facet, whole other eye to it. And just being a caregiver and learning information and seeing a lot of people go through the same thing, but it's been that pink elephant that you don't like to talk about. I started out with a blog in 2011, and it was my way of just getting through what I was getting through, learning about mental health, being a caregiver, seeing my mom go through things. And then I started, getting people to comment and dialogue, and, you find out just how many people are actually going through the same thing when it comes to dealing with mental health and family. So, and then 2 years ago, I kind of coined the name Coach D because I got back into the basketball coaching world, and I started coaching at junior college for women's basketball. So it was two Coach Johnsons. So I went ahead and coined the name Coach D because that was a lot easier, because Devin, for some reason, is not always an easy name that people say. I've heard everything except. So I just try to keep it really simple.
Okay. It's funny. I going back to when you said people think that they're alone in what they're experiencing, and I think people don't reach out for that reason. They think that I'm the only person that's going through this situation, and it's not true. Is that when you reach out, you find yourself in a family of people who have experienced what you're going through, or are currently experiencing what you're going through. So you document it and blogging. It's like really important to getting out there. So you mentioned that you were mentoring girls, right? So I thought Coach D came from your wellness coaching business, not from basketball. So it came from basketball.
Yeah, because with my clients and those that I've worked with, it's more like it was never really a coach thing, because we're just two human beings coming together to be able to dialogue in a safe space.
Right.
Because I think the other thing is there's a lot of shame that's attached to mental health, and that is also something that makes it really hard for people to talk about or be forthcoming about it. And just being a therapist, or you must be crazy, and that's not it. Sometimes you need a neutral platform with someone that doesn't have anything invested as far as personally to gain, but is really there just to give you another perspective or point of view, because sometimes we're our own worst critic.
Yeah.
So we're going to be harder on ourselves than anyone else can be. So it's important sometimes to just get another perspective of how things work and what's really important.
Right. So, I mean, mental health is important. I think more people, like you said, they're kind of embarrassed by it. Why? I mean, I guess I can speculate why, but how was that changed your life? So when did you find out that your mom was having challenges, and then when you found out how that changed your life and her life?
So with my mom, it was kind of a multitude of things within 6 months. Lost her mom, lost a great after-school program job she had. She was kind of pushed out because she was older at the onset of menopause, lost her sleep. So for me, and I'm going to keep fixing these glasses because they keep sliding, so let me take them off. For me, it was just really tough because your mom or your parent is someone that is your strength when you're growing up. They give you your guidance, your foundation, and to see them in a space to where they lose all of that and then you become that for them, where you become the parent, it was a little tough. But the one thing I learned was like, okay, because we had an issue with med compliance, as you know, that's a big issue in mental health. So once I learned that facet, it was like, oh, there's a whole nother side to this with regards to the actual disorder, because my mom has been diagnosed bipolar with schizoaffective features. So, it's so much that you have to learn. And the other thing is that's when I got into the master's program for marriage and family therapy. And I tell people all the time, I got in that program to save my mom, and it actually saved me.
Really? Explain that, please. Break that
down. Because you learn about self-care. That's one of the things that they really push being in this field, because in the social work field in mental health, there's about a 2-year turnover, burnout.
Really?
The average social worker burns out in about 2 years. And we've seen that play out in the news. You've seen that in places where, children are put in an uncompromised position, and you hear the social worker was overwhelmed and they're overworked, and, because the things that you see. And the one thing that I learned is, in order to be a coach, I have to make sure that I'm okay. I can tell you on the airplane, make sure you put your mask on first, and then put on the mask of the person next to you. So I always tell people, you can't save the world and then lose yourself in the process.
Amen to that.
So for me, it was understanding that there's only so much that I can do, that there is some things that even though my mom's not well, that she has to do, like go to therapy, go to group, make sure she's taking her medication, make sure she's, and of course it's a slippery slope, because there are times when they lack that control, and there's a lot of impulsivity with bipolar. But there's still some things that they have to be accountable for. And that was the part that saved me, because in my program, I was, taught by doctors, psychologists, therapists, and we would use a lot of real life scenarios. And it was a great platform and space for us to talk. So that was my space to talk about what I was going through with my mom. And it was a reassurance that I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. And it gave me a greater understanding. So every time I had a paper, every time there was something I had to write on, I picked bipolar because I needed to have a better understanding of what my mom was going through. And the only way that I could help her was to educate myself first.
So now that most people are confined to their homes, and they can't go certain places, so for someone who's stuck in the house and have to deal with these issues of mental health or being confined, or what can people do to just stay sane at home, like stay sane and just not go crazy, because I feel that if you did not have a mental issue before this COVID-19, you have one now, right? Because you're stuck, right? What can we do?
You know, it's so funny. Me and a friend had a funny conversation because it's like, you know, my thing was 2 months ago, people were like, I'm tired of my job. I need a vacation. I need a break. I want to spend more time with my kids and family. And now that they have that, it's like people are like, what? You know, it's a little bit much because, you know, some people you have to feed them with a, you know what I'm saying, a gentle spoon instead of force feeding them. And right now people are being force fed to deal with their realities. Because you can't be distracted by work. You can't be distracted by the kids, you know, events or going to go hang out with your friends or, you know, watching sports. Now you have to sit at home and you have to deal with yourself. And you have to deal with your spouse or your children or your, you know, your brother or your sister or your parents. You know what I'm saying? There's no more distractions. Now you have to really be present in the here and now. And I think that's something that a lot of people aren't used to. One thing I've always thought was amazing, works really well, is journaling. People need to journal. You know, social media for some is a great platform for that. It can also be a detrimental platform in some ways because people get a little bit too emotional with what they express on social media. So I think journaling is like really good because it allows you to get out what you need to say, and there's no one watching you. There's no one that's there to judge you. And you'd be amazed at how much lighter you feel when you are able to express that. And then sometimes when you look back at what you read, you're like, yeah, I was tripping, or wasn't as bad as I thought, or yeah, I'm glad I didn't say that, because in our minds, when we're in that emotion, whatever we're feeling is justified. But when you calm down and you breathe and you take a step back from that space, you take on a totally different perspective of what it is you're going through, because then you compartmentalize. Is it really this important? Is it worth my stress? Is it worth my sleep? And I think where people are at right now, because there's so many things going on, people are really starting to prioritize like what is going to affect them and what isn't. Because there's not a lot you can do. You can't go take a run. You can't go to the store. You can't go hang out with your friends. You can't go to the beach, which for some people is very therapeutic, you know, because nature is healing. So, you know, journaling, I would say get back into your hobby. You have a lot of time now. Get back into the things that make you you. And I think we fall away from that because we get into our roles as the mom, the dad, the brother, the sister, the husband, the wife, you know, whatever role that is. But in that, we forget who we are and the things that make us happy, because we're making sure everyone else is happy.
A lot of people's routines have been disrupted, you know, because I mean, everybody has routines. I mean, even me, you know, my kids are out of school until for the whole year is canceled now, right? So the routine that I was used to has been disrupted, and it's a big adjustment. And, you know, journaling is something that I do every day because it helps me. Because I mean, I can't go to the gym anymore. I can't go hit a punching bag. So I have to be there in the moment and figure out what else can I do to. I mean, luckily I can still get out and go to my office because I'm by myself. But you know, my wife's at home with the kids, so I know there's a challenge there. So journaling and is really knowing who you are is important. You mentioned social media, so. I want to touch on that a little bit. Now, you post some funny shit. You do. I mean, it's funny, but it's really eye-opening, and a lot of it is about relationships, right? And 99% of people who post stuff about relationships are going through something, but that's not you, because you made it clear. You know, I post this stuff, but it doesn't mean I'm experiencing it, but it's real. One is, where does this stuff come from? Like, where do you get this stuff from? And then secondly, why do you do
it? So some of the stuff I actually just get off of social media, going through my thread. Sometimes I'll actually go and Google funny memes. Okay. And I get some of those. Some of them I create myself.
Oh, wow, okay.
But I think the biggest thing is they're all relatable.
Yeah.
At some point, we've been through this. We know someone that's been through this or is going through this. You know what I mean? And the other thing is bringing light to something that's dark. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the things that aren't right, right? And then we wonder why we continue to keep getting the things that are not right, because unconsciously that's what we are giving energy to. Spend more time talking about what we don't want in a man or a woman instead of speaking about what we do want. And then you wonder why you keep getting what you don't want. Well, that's what you put out in the universe, even though it's not the energy you want, because it's something you constantly talk about. That's the energy you bring. Right. And I tell people all the time that your words, what you speak, you have much more power than you think you do. And that's the only difference between you and the next person who's chasing a dream, is because they're speaking that dream into a reality. They're putting the intention out there. They're writing it down. They're creating a goal list. Even journaling. Journaling doesn't always have to be a bad thing. You know, I have 2 or 3 journals. I have a to-do journal. I have a meditation journal. I have a journal that I write down just my thoughts on certain things, because it's just being able to put the intention out there. The universe doesn't know what you mean, it only knows what you say. And that includes the things that you write, because you're planting a seed.
To remix that universe thing. Say it again for me.
The universe doesn't know what you mean, it only knows what you say. So you have to speak with a specific intention. You know what I mean? Because it's all about energy. Everything in life is about energy. There's an energy behind when you say things you don't like or want, because you know what it feels like to feel those things. So no one wants to get hurt. No one wants this. And when you say it, you have such conviction. That's a very strong energy you're carrying with those words. Think about how much more energy would be progressive if you took that same energy and talked about what you wanted with that much more excitement, instead of having that contentment and that bitterness, like, I don't want this, I don't want that, but you know what? I want this, and I'm going to manifest this. And we don't understand that we have the power to do that with the very words that we speak on a daily basis, even when we're joking around. And I catch myself, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, let me go ahead and change that, because, you know, you can either, the tongue has the power to speak life or speak death.
It's funny you say that, because my mom, when I was growing up, I used to always use negative words like, okay, this is killing me, right? And even though I was joking, mom said, no. Even though you're joking, it still means something. So, you know, don't say those words. So the words you speak are very powerful. And like you say, even in joking, in jest, I mean, people don't think that is real, but this universe gives you exactly what you don't want, right? So like you said, I mean, focus on what you want and not what you don't want. And too many people spend their lives focusing on lack. And lack is not just about money, right? You know,
lack is a mindset.
It's a mindset. My job's doing this, my wife's doing this, you know, everything is about lack. And too many people spend their time in lack and don't achieve their greatness.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, if you think about when you have conversations with people who are successful, have a certain level of business, their conversations are never about lack. Their conversations are usually about ways to make more money,
right,
or ways to improve the ways they're making money already, or their business. But it's never about what they can't do, what they don't have. And if it is about what they don't have, it's here's a problem, here's a solution. And we're only talking about the problem because we need to find a solution. Once we have a solution, there's no need to talk about the problem anymore.
Right.
And I think that's the problem too. People know that there's a solution, but they rather talk about the problem. Because the problem is easier to talk about. Solution takes action. Doesn't really take to talk about a problem.
Yeah.
But it takes action when you want to talk about that solution, because you have to, you know, once you plant the seeds, you can't just sit there.
Right.
You have to tend to the garden. And that's a lot of things that the people I find is the follow-up. People aren't consistent. You know what I mean? And that plays a big part in your mental health, your well-being, you know, everything that you do. That you plant a seed, you can't not water it. You can't not prune it. pruning, meaning there's some things about yourself you're going to have to change and get rid of when you start asking to place yourself in certain positions, when you start asking for certain blessings. You have to make space to receive those blessings.
Amen.
So,
yeah, you said something pretty profound, that people focus on the problem, right? And one thing that I heard, which was so true, is that people's problems, they focus on that because that's their identity, right? And a lot of people don't want to heal from past hurts because they feel that they won't matter anymore. What they went through won't matter. So I got to focus on this past hurt and not get healed, because that past hurt gives me my identity. It makes me matter, right? And that's why people are not achieving what they want to achieve, because they're so focused on the problem and not the solution. So that was good.
Yeah, and that just goes back to the here and now. If you're present in the here and now, you have no time to think about what happened before, because people are missing out on the blessings that are standing right in front of them because they're too busy turned around like this. And everything you want is standing right here. Everything you want is standing right here. And the Most High gave you, equipped you with every tool you need to be successful. So everything people are out there looking for, it's already here. And that's the part that we don't see. And unfortunately it takes something traumatic or something heartbreaking or something, really bad for the good to come out when the good was already there.
You mentioned looking back. So over like the last 3 or 4 days, I've been having like neck pain, right? My neck's been hurting. Probably to why I slept, but every time I would turn around and look back, it would hurt, right? So looking back causes pain, right? And people don't realize that. I mean, when you look back, you hurt your neck and cause pain. And for me, that's been real, because every time I look back on something that I missed or a past hurt or whatever, that feeling came back like it just happened, right? Mm-hmm. If I got in an argument with my wife or with a friend and it was 2 months ago, if I look back and think about what happened, that same feeling I had 2 months ago comes right back today, and it feels the exact same way. So my state changes. Mm-hmm. So looking back causes so much pain. So we gotta start looking back.
Yeah, and the other thing is people don't understand that we cause our own suffering because we don't know how to let go. You can only control what you can control. Yeah. You can't control certain things. And the moment you let it go, it doesn't mean that you've forgotten about what happened. It's a level of forgiveness that comes with letting go. And forgiveness isn't for the other person. Forgiveness is for you, because you're the only one that's being kept in bondage. You're the only one holding on to these feelings. You're the only one suffering. The other person is going on living their life, doing whatever it is they do, and you sit here stuck. So we have to learn to let go. And let go, remember, it doesn't mean that you've forgotten. It just means that you've forgiven that person and you've forgiven yourself for the amount of time you've held on to these emotions that have, put you in a place of being less than what you deserve.
For my daughter, same thing. When she was in school, her thing was, "Oh, I hate this girl." I'm like, "This girl is just awful." I'm like, "You're spending so much time hating this girl, and at night she's sleeping, she's having fun. She's not thinking about you. You're spending all this time disliking and hating this girl, and you're messing with your internal spirit, right?" So, but I can guarantee she's not spending that much time on you that you're spending on her. Right?
Yeah, she giving that little girl a whole lot of power.
A lot of power.
But in the midst of giving that power, you're giving up power.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't understand, how much power we have in just standing in your truth. What doesn't, as my coach would say in college, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And his other famous quote was, "If you can fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up."
So you have this this very calm confidence about yourself. I mean, very calm, very sure. and it actually bleeds to the screen, right? Now, take me back to sports, to basketball. From high school to college, what role did that play in you having this calm confidence? Because basketball is not a calm sport, right? I mean, you have to be intense. But you have this calm confidence. How did basketball play a role in making you who you are today?
Well, to be honest, I would have butterflies before every game. And they probably went away like after the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think it was more just the adrenaline because, you know, when we were growing up, basketball was our sanctuary. That was our place to go. And we spent hours in the gym.
Yeah.
All we needed was a basketball. We didn't even need nobody to rebound. You know what I mean? So it's funny that you say that because you never know. I tell people all the time, you never really know how you would occur to people. And for me, it is surprising sometimes to hear the way I occur because in that moment, I'm probably like, I am nervous as hell. You know, or it's just a totally different feeling. So I think for me, because I'm always my own worst critic, right? I just said that. And I've always been someone behind the scenes. So that's why blogging was great for me. Because I never had to put a face and get in front of anything. And, you know, so even with this podcast, it was like I sat and thought about it last night and I'm just like, oh my God. And you don't really, to me, I guess because I'm such a down-to-earth person, it's just a platform where I'm just really talking about something that I'm passionate about with a good friend. But then when you actually see it after it's put together and then you see the impact and the comments and the things like that, you're like, wow. It's, and I hate to use the word crazy, but it's just ironic how people can view you or just view certain things. So to see somebody else's perspective other than the two people that are dialogue, you know, sometimes it's really intriguing and people interest me. That's always been my thing. So, you know, it's kind of a gift and a curse in some way because you're always told, don't worry about what other people think of you. But in that same instance, there is a part of you that wants to make sure that you come off in a way that's not abrasive or aggressive or disrespectful. So, you know, how I occur is important in some aspects, and then in others, it's just like, I'm just being me. So, you know, I mean, probably you won't probably see the goofy side, but.
I saw it years ago. Yeah.
Right, and to think in what's been 20 years, it's only gotten worse.
Really?
It's only gotten goofier. Oh yeah. You have to be able to see the lighter side of things and to be able to look at things and laugh and look back at them and like, you know, be honest in that moment, like, damn, that was some dumb shit I did. Or, you know what, that was funny, stupid, you know, risky. And you have to see that because if every time you are going to look back and sometimes I say it's take inventory. Sometimes it's okay to look back because you want to take inventory, take stock of where you've been and how long you've come, especially if you're someone who's been working on self-awareness and self-care and self-growth. Then you have to look back. That's what journaling is for, because it allows you to see the space you were in mentally maybe 6 months ago and how now you come out of that dark space and look at what you're talking about now. You know, it just gives you a chance to just really reflect and see and be happy. And then also realize sometimes that things aren't as bad as you think they are. I think that's the most important thing, is we think things are a lot worse than they really are. And you look back and you're like, shit, that ain't shit compared to what I'm experiencing right now. You know, because now life, look at us, did we ever think we'd be on quarantine in 2020? So I'm pretty sure that what we were tripping off of in 2019 or that little bullshit argument or conversation we had is nothing in compared to what we're being forced to deal with now.
So because we have history, I consider us friends, right? And I'm going to be honest with you. Okay? Totally honest and transparent. I've seen a lot of your posts, your memes on social media. I have not seen any video of you on social media. So I know this podcast will be good, but I know it will be this good. I know that you will be dropping the bombs that you're dropping. So in all honesty, I think that you're doing everybody a disservice by not doing videos on social media, because this is some good shit, man. People need to hear it. So stop being selfish, Dev, and
you know what? It's so
start recording.
Yeah, and it's so funny because as I'm seeing the way things are transitioning now, like I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to start blogging soon because people aren't gonna keep reading the blogs, but I always just give an inspirational set on my actual website. But I'm like, yeah, people want aesthetics.
Yeah.
So they want a face to the meme. They want a face to the funny comments. You know, I'll throw up a picture like, hey, you can get a picture.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely am going to be embarking on that platform. I'm actually, and this is probably something we can talk about after we get off of here, but I've been wanting to do a podcast.
Okay.
One of the reasons why I bought this lovely little iPad right here. But I am not as tech savvy as I like to be. So I'll probably, and my biggest thing is just needing help on how to create the platform.
Yeah.
For a podcast.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something I can actually pick your brain about, because that is something I've thought about. But you know, you try to link up and partnership, and that doesn't work out. And then, you know, at some point I'm like, you know what? I just need to figure it out and get it going and stop waiting on other people. So yeah. Trust me, I hear you. You put that bug in my ear. I will get into posting videos a lot more.
And I'll help you any way I can, because it's people need to hear this stuff. So going back to basketball, you coach, you said junior college, right?
Yes.
So what were, I guess, not to get personal, but how did you take who you are as far as your mindset, as far as your, you know, be all, achieve all mindset to basketball, and helping these girls achieve at a higher level?
Well, I think the good thing is there were 3 coaches on our staff. So it allowed us to bring our own individuality, and my coaches allowed that. So my biggest thing was doing wellness checks with my players every week. And then for some, you know, I didn't have to do every week. It started to get to, you know, once a month. But I think that's really big is as coaches, you know, the focus is so much on basketball and books. You know, you're a student athlete, but they're also individuals. They're also young women and young men. Some are parents or brothers or sisters or caregivers to their parents. And there's a lot of life issues that they go through, and you start to see it play out in basketball. Whether they're not focused or just their attitude, or having to miss practice, or some kids having to make the choice that they can't play basketball anymore because they have to, you know, real life. You know, it's a lot different than, you know, the athletes that are going immediately into 4 years out of high school. You find that a lot of your junior college, they have a lot of responsibilities as well. And that's, I think, where I come in, because I tell them there's life after basketball. I learned that in college. I blew out both my ACL, so I only played 2 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So I only played 2 years of college basketball, and then I played some semi-pro afterwards. You know, nothing really major because I was a mom. And, you know, I've been playing basketball my whole life. So it was like, once I got done and I graduated, I was like, you know what? I just want to chill. I just want to be a mom and be a regular person. And, so to see it come back full circle when I was blessed with the opportunity 2 years ago, I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this. I was so far removed, but my good friend had to remind me, you have so much more to offer these young ladies besides just basketball. And then that's when my identity as a coach was like, I was a mental health check. I'm making sure you're good. You can come and talk to me. I'm having wellness checks and chiming in. It's not easy, and I don't force. That's one thing I don't do, is I don't force myself on you, but I always let you know that if you want to talk, you always have a safe space with me to be able to talk about. And, my wellness checks are not about basketball, so I'm not coming in there saying, so how's that left hand leg and that crossfit? It's like, no, how's life? How's everything outside of house class? Because that becomes very stressful as well. So, I found myself, at least for me, that I've done a lot more life coaching with these young ladies. And, just letting them know, you still have an opportunity to chase your dreams. You can still get a great scholarship and play basketball at the next level, which I think sometimes the girls don't think that, since they didn't get that 4-year scholarship coming out, they don't think they have an opportunity. And I'm like, no, this is a great segue to be able to, get further your education, have it paid for, help your parents. That was the main reason why I did it. I knew my mom was a single mom, and I wanted to go to college. I knew she couldn't afford it. So for me, basketball was it. And going to Morningside, that was a sports high school. A lot of iconic players and athletes have come out of Morningside. So, I knew this was my thing. We're not turning out academic scholarships here, but athletically. And I still kept a grade. I had a 3.2 coming out of high school.
Really? Wow. Okay.
So, I just knew where my gifts were. So.
Yeah, so some people, so there may be one person that's watching this podcast and they say, wow, Devin, Coach D has had a good life. She's done so much. She hasn't struggled. She hasn't had any adversity, because all I hear is talking about the good things. But we know that everyone faces adversity, right? We know that the calm confidence hasn't always been there. But what kept you going through your adversities, through your hard times? What kept you pushing? Why didn't you just give up and say, fuck it, I'm done? I'm just done. I'm just gonna sit here and just let life control or take over.
My daughter. I had my daughter at 19. And when you become a parent, you realize that your decisions aren't just your decisions.
Right.
It's not until you become a parent that you realize that, but that's really the way life is long before you become a parent. Because even if you don't have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have siblings, you have family. And sometimes the very decisions that you make and don't make can affect those that are closely associated with you. And they don't have control of that. The other thing is, I think just being an athlete, I wasn't no damn fool.
Right.
But, the other thing is, I'm going to be honest, my daughter, and having faith. Because that was the one thing that my college coach did for me. We came every day, he had a quote for us. He had quotes on his board. He each had an individual quote for us. He had us look up quotes. I'm grateful for him, because I went through my own postpartum depression after I had my daughter. And I still had to go to school. I never stopped. I still had to go to school managed. And he was really good and attentive with that. And, he was the first person that was like, you know what, I think you should see a therapist, Devin. And we had a, on-campus health center. And he allowed me to go every Tuesday for an hour. And it wasn't until a year after I came out of my depression that I even really had come to the realization that I was even going through postpartum depression, because it wasn't a big thing back then. It's more talked about now, but back then you didn't know that postpartum depression was something that was really happening. And you're just trying to be a mom and be a student and be an athlete, and and I really appreciate my coach for that, because he still gave me the platform to be able to play basketball and go to school. And his thing was, basketball got you here, but your education is what you get before you leave here. And, I'm really grateful for that, because that put a foundation in me that I was able to instill in my daughter. And now she's in her first year of her master's program, at Iowa. So, you want to break the cycle.
Yeah. So you have just one child?
Just one. And then I have my bonus son through my marriage. My husband has a 19-year-old.
But they're grown, right? Like, your daughter's gone. Your bonus child is 19. So
in college, yeah.
Empty nesters, huh?
Yeah.
Can't wait till that happens. I am looking forward to be able to just do stuff with my wife is on the spur, because right now we have the kids. My youngest son is 7, so we can't do a lot. So I got 10 years to go.
Right.
And then we're gonna be.
And who knows? They might be letting kids in college at 15. But 15, 20 years from now, things may be so advanced.
Hope so. My next question is that you touched on a little bit, is that you talk about your coach. So other than your coach, like, what other mentors did you have in your life to help push you to the next level? So your coach was one. Who else helped you? And I mean, it can be someone you saw on the internet, a book you read, but who kept you sane, pushed you? Mentors.
That's a good one. Besides my coach, I can say my mom, because just in growing up, she always gave me a strong spiritual basis.
Okay.
As far as, being diligent in prayer, slowing down, being grateful. My daughter, she's been a big inspiration. She's done some amazing, amazing things. And when you see your children grow up, she's 23 now, and do things on the same level as you as far as sports and surpass you, it's a great feeling. But not just the sports thing. She's an amazing young lady. She's actually in her master's in social work also. So for me, honestly, I am her biggest fan, and you want to be everything for your children. And you know what I'm saying? But they don't realize how much they inspire you, because your children make you want to be better. As much as they don't want to disappoint you, you don't want to disappoint them.
That's true. My oldest son, he is 25, and growing up, you give your kids all the advice, you give them everything that you have within you. But one day, a few years back, he called me and gave me advice. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, okay. So it kind of struck me, but it was what I needed at that time, and it came from my son. So I can relate to that. That's like super important.
And I just think the other thing is, the Most High has placed me in amazing paths of amazing people. And that has just, I've had some great friends. One of my really good friends, she's the one that really got me interested in the master's program, MFT, because she was going through the program. I was actually in pharmacy school taking care of my mom, and my family had restaurants. So, and then the opportunity fell in my lap when I did a catering job for the University of Phoenix, and ended up pursuing my master's there. Then I met another good, ran into another good friend of mine during that program. A lot of people know Dr. Bryant, and just watching her grow and flourish and see the amazing work that she's done, and just knowing her personally. So to see that transition has just been so amazing. And that too, is because, like you said, people see a calm person and they hear a lot of good things, but there's been a lot of trials and tribulations that come with the triumph. And after a while, you kind of feel like it's too late. You don't deserve it, or, who am I to sit out here and tell somebody how to have a great life when my life has been shit? But then that's when you realize your trials are your testimonies. That's why you have the ability to be able to go out and tell somebody it's okay, and they can get through it because you got through it. So, your voice becomes your platform to be able to speak on and talk about your experiences, because you would be surprised at how many people can relate.
That's true. I was listening to Gabby Bernstein. She's she wrote like 10 books. So I think her 7th book was on depression, overcoming depression. And she questioned herself, well, how can I write this book when I'm currently going through depression, right? So she wrote a book on depression, going through depression, and it became a #1 New York Times bestseller. So you don't have to know everything or have everything fixed before you take a step. It's just taking that step, because while you're in something, you're the best person to talk about it and document it because you're currently in it. And when you get out, you forget certain things because you want to, right? But when you're
the mind has a great way of just pushing some things to the side for you, because it already knows that you're going to be stuck on this for the next. So let me just go ahead and, I found that with certain things that I've gone through in life, it's like, man, I didn't even remember that until somebody says something, because my mind just selectively went and put that to the back, pushed it in the cabinet. It's not even something you need to think about, so yeah. And that was my thing, is I thought I had to be a master at what I knew before I could teach it to someone else. And I think we all think like that we have to be the masters at what we know. But I feel like once I've learned, you learn that you keep mastering something until you hit the dirt. Life is a learning process. Even in going through death, you are still learning something, whether it's learning forgiveness, learning what true love is, learning who your real friends and family are, learning what really matters, because now you're only given a certain amount of time to really do things. So you're not worried about a lot of that shit you were just 2 weeks ago, now that you only have 2 weeks to live. You know what I mean? Life can change your perspective and put a lot of things in perspective for you. So now that I understand that, it's like, what, my imperfections is, I say I'm perfectly imperfect. And I think we all are. And the moment that we can, look at and accept those imperfections, that's the moment that we can move forward, and that's the moment that we heal. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. So you can't say I want to feel better, but you don't want to acknowledge what has you feeling that way, or you don't even want to acknowledge the feeling in itself. So what you resist will persist. That's the law of resistance. That's universal law. So,
well, I'm going to do a really bold challenge for you, like really, really bold. I'm gonna challenge you on this podcast. Right? I'm gonna challenge you. It's just bold, but it's simple. Right? One video a week on Instagram.
Study?
One video a week on Instagram. You do one video a week on Instagram. So that's my simple challenge to you. So and then we can go from there. But I want to see you giving out these nuggets, because people need this. People are searching for stuff just like this, and if you can put out, I mean, even people that we went to school with, right? I mean, I read some of their posts and they're kind of depressing, right? That's because life got them. I get that, life gets everybody, but you can take it, you can accept it, or you can say, no, I'm built for something greater. And I mean, a lot of people that try to find the right words, that I thought would be greater at this point, because they were so amazing in high school, life now is just beat them up, right? And if they can just have something to grab onto, I think that would be amazing. So one video a week from Coach D is my challenge. I'm gonna be looking. I'll be looking.
You can hold me to that.
Okay, cool. So how do we find you? How do people find you? Social media, websites. Talk to us about how they can find you.
So my life coaching Instagram is Beautiful Mind Coach. That's my tag, at Beautiful Mind Coach. My personal Instagram is at Amazing Beauty, and that's Beauty, Beautee. I also have a life coaching website, which is beautifulmindcoach.com. Just type that into your URL, that'll pop up. I have a lot of information, blogs that I'm actually going to get more updated on, but some really good pieces. You can see some testimonials. You can actually reach out to me if you just have some questions and are interested, or other than that, I have a Facebook, which I'm not really on as much as I should be. I'm more active on my Instagram pages, both of my pages. I would say that's the best way right now. I actually am creating 2 other platforms because, as you've seen, I do this CBD. I have my CBD business, and I'm creating a platform for that. And then I have my edibles business that I've started. So I'm creating a platform for that. But I'd say Instagram's the best place to catch me. My life coaching website is a great place to catch me there as well. It has my business phone number there. And you can also email me at itsmecoachd@gmail.com. That's a great way to get in contact with me. But I reach out on every platform. I'm easy, I'm approachable, I'm relatable. So hit your girl up. Let's chat.
We'll link up all the description, the links in the description, so people can just click on them and then go right to the platforms. So my last question is, what is your mission in life right now, and are you on track to completing that mission?
Yes. Honestly, my mission is just to be a shepherd. I have information, I have knowledge, I have love, I have all these things to give. I believe that I wouldn't have been given this knowledge and these gifts to keep them to myself. I believe that my mission is to heal people. People don't understand how words can heal. Very important. So, and then just in the CBD industry, what's going on with the pain bomb, that's just been an amazing response for me, because I understand the pharmaceutical game. And, yes, totally different. But just, our bodies are meant to heal itself. And we don't understand that the words that we speak can heal us just as much as any medicine or anything. So, like I tell you all the time, speak life over your life. You deserve it.
Awesome. Well, Coach D, I thank you for blessing us. Thank you for this time. It was, for me, it was super amazing. I'm sure everybody's being blessed by it. So, guys, you guys heard it directly from Coach D. You can change your life. You can change anything that you want, but it comes down to making a decision. A decision to be someone different than you are or were. And so just get up and just really just keep creating, because now the COVID-19 is not just confined to your house. You can create, right? You can create what you want and who you want. So just continue to do that. Continue to work hard. And thank you for watching this episode of Born Great. We will talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.